Thanks for joining us on Inside Communications.
Well, thank you.
So you've said that you have a fierce hatred for run-of-the-mill thinking. How much of public relations is that run-of-the-mill thinking?
Well, unfortunately, I think too much of it is. I think that you really do have to think out of the box, and that your target has to be sort of, if you want to communicate for your client, it has to be this kind of jaded media person who's seen it all and done it all. So to cut through the clutter of that, if you're sort of using a run-of-the-mill idea or a run-of-the-mill way of thinking, you're going to really hit a brick wall and not get the desired effect, which is the coverage for your client.
Exactly, and that's really what drives everything, is getting this great coverage. And you do a great job of getting this coverage with out-of-the-box ideas, big-time media coverage. Does a client come to you, they know what they're getting when they come to you?
Generally, generally speaking, I would say that they definitely know what they're doing when they come for me, because they basically come to me referred by either other clients or clients that I've worked with before that move to other companies. So pretty much they know what they're getting, and I think that you know, I kind of look like the product I sell. I'm not the man in the gray flannel suit, so they're not going to get that kind of idea.
Let's talk a little bit about the evolution of this thinking. Was it something that you came to very early in your career, or did you just see that there was a niche that you could serve by this and it fits into your personality, fits into your persona, so you just decided to go with this?
Well, I think it kind of came to me from my own influences. I came out of, before getting into PR, I was working in writing, I was working in music, I was working in art. So those are the kinds of things that inform the thinking, the kinds of things that I'm interested in. And you know, having success, doing things on an economical way for people, and creating a big success is really what kind of begat the success of the company. So we continue to kind of do that kind of thing.
And how is success measured? Is it measured in number of people that come to a specific event? Press coverage? How is success measured?
Well, obviously it's changed. I mean, for most of my clients, it really is based on the media coverage that we generate and the return on the investment. So a lot of the ideas, my favorite idea is the kind of idea that really is very low budget and high impact and high return on results. You know, an idea that's really a vapor idea that really just creates the media.
And what was one of those events?
Well, I would say something like, we did a campaign called the Guitar Face Search. It was for a video-on-demand company that had a guitar show, on guitar instructions, and they asked us to come up with an idea to promote the overall VOD service. My own interest in guitars. We came up with this idea. Again, it was a visual idea, so it was really the search for the greatest guitar face in America. So when people play guitar, they make funny faces. So this was a very cost-effective campaign. People basically just emailed in videos, emailed in photos. They were judged by 25 great rock and roll photographers, rock and roll guitarists who all worked for free, because we made the idea very simple. They were just going to judge the final 5. And it got tremendous coverage of the kind that, like, the leading New York Times art critic did a Friday Arts section cover about the whole subject of Guitar Face, which was based around this campaign. And obviously, again, it was visual, so it lends itself to a lot of television coverage, and obviously a lot of action on the internet too.
So you mentioned television coverage. Just recently, the Zombie Walk, tying that around Halloween. Knowing that Halloween this year is on a Monday, so you do the event on a Thursday, knowing that things can be packaged in such a way where that'll make for great weekend footage. What was your thought process behind that? How much forethought goes into when a specific event will take place, when coverage will happen, what's the prime time, in a way, for that coverage to air?
Well, that's a very good question, because you know, when you run it, you hate to kind of do things on Mondays and Fridays. Friday's the end of the week. It's going to end up in the Saturday paper, which is sort of the dead zone. Monday, it's kind of hard to get to the media over the weekend to kind of pitch it. With that particular campaign, I think the most interesting thing about that is we work with the client. It was a very quick kind of project where they said, look, we have a little bit of extra money. Halloween is coming up. We wanted to support, this was for AMC for their Monster Fest. We want to do some additional publicity, support this. What can you guys come up with? So the idea was to have a zombie march. Our idea, I think, which in terms of the timing, was to, they wanted to kind of do it Midtown, middle of the day, and we were kind of thinking of broadcast coverage and said, well, why don't we march them over the Brooklyn Bridge, you know, when all the local morning shows and national morning shows are on, so we can actually get the traffic helicopter coverage. So that was kind of an interesting variation on that, and it did obviously accrue to getting a lot of television coverage, live coverage. The guy in the traffic helicopter is over the FDR, and then they swing the camera, and here are all these zombies coming over the bridge. They were all carrying logoed briefcases for AMC Monster Fest. And again, like you say, doing it a few days before, it enabled people to hold the story and then actually get advanced publicity to get people to tune in for the.
Now you mentioned that they came to you, they said that they had a little bit of extra money, they wanted to do something out of the box. Would someone come to you right off the bat? Would this be something that would be their standard first option for getting publicity, or is it usually something in conjunction with something more traditional?
Well, this was an add-on to the traditional publicity which was being done, which was to work with TV critics to promote. Obviously, they did an annual special about monster movies or a great filmmaker, and in addition to all the movies that they were publicizing. So this is kind of an add-on, and I think the thing about this kind of idea is that it adds like a personality and a sense of fun to the brand. And I think that's what a lot of publicity is about, is to make your brand is to make your brand likable as a person. And you know, I share a similar interest. I share a similar worldview with this brand, and that's what gets people to connect to brands.
When you're doing an event like this, you mentioned this, what we're speaking about, the Zombie Walk, taking place in New York, Brooklyn Bridge. What are some of the challenges that you face when you are doing these large-scale events in terms of coordinating with police, permits, TV coverage? What are some of the pitfalls that you've fallen into, or some of the success stories?
Well, the thing is that it can always be killed by hard news. So you really want to think long and hard before you spend a lot of money on something, because, you know, if you've been around 25 years like myself in this business, you've seen the greatest plans laid aside by hard news. In the case, you can really go one of two ways. I mean, in some events, we actually do it by the book. There's permitting involved, which takes a lot of time and a lot of money. It can, you know, cost you $50,000 to get your space, months to get the approval of the proper authorities, versus doing something guerrilla, where we would go lower cost, lower risk, and if we get moved by the police, we move somewhere else, and we just make sure the media knows and can, you know, generate their coverage. And
you've been awarded with 2 Guerrilla Marketers of the Year awards.
It's kind of funny because it's like a lot of these things, I think it's been intuitive. For the first one that we won an award was for a brand called Alizé, and it was a cognac liqueur. Alizé Red Passion, it was a red liqueur, so they wanted kind of an engaging idea. So that particular time, like now, redheads were hot. So basically this was an idea to transform women into redheads, 500 women into redheads a day. We won this award, and, you know, we got called and they said, we're going to give you this award for Guerrilla Marketers of the Year. And I was like, well, what's guerrilla marketing? This was like at the beginning of guerrilla marketing. And I think the same thing happened to us with a lot of the viral video campaigns we did. We did a crazy viral video campaign about 5 years ago, one of the early ones, which was the search for the America's most outrageous bird, that did bird tricks. It was obviously for a pet product. And again, that was another thing where we didn't even know it was called viral video at that time, and just ended up, I think, by being intuitive, in the right place where the trends were going in the industry.
That term viral video gets thrown around a lot. Sometimes you can't really intend to make a viral video. Sometimes a brand might come to you and say, we want to make a viral video, but there's not really such a thing as viral video. It just sort of happens organically in a way. There's no checklist as to how to make a viral video.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to, it's a hard thing to manufacture. I think there are people who do it well, but there's an amount of risk involved, and I think to cut through the clutter, you know, you have to be willing to take some chances. And at this point now, it is a much more cluttered field, and it is kind of hard to just, you know, invest, put something out there, and make it connect.
What's making your life hard now? Is social media making your life easier, harder? Are there more people doing what we call guerrilla marketing now? You mentioned a few years ago when you won this first award, It's just what you were doing. But now it seems like with the advent of social media, YouTube, different social media outlets, that people can do this on a larger scale. Are you finding that to sort of break into some of your business?
Not really, because we've always been sort of a scrappy, you know, and proudly a low-budget operation. You know, I think I run a small business. I've run a small business for many years, so I have that mentality, and I have that mentality also when I spend my clients' money. And you know, maybe that comes from working with people like Roger Corman, who I work with on Monster Fest. But I think it's great that more people are empowered to do this kind of work. And that people are more open to these kinds of ideas. So I don't see that it's really impacted my work, and I think the kinds of things we do have only been amplified by the presence of Twitter and Facebook, because great publicity, great videos are just, obviously, they go viral, they're shared, and you have a much bigger impact. And clients really look at, as much as they look to traditional kinds of publicity as perhaps being an end, or to some degree less important, I think a lot of, you know, getting a hit in the Times, or you know, something on CNN or whatever, that's going to really spread through the viral world too.
Before I let you go, I have to touch on Roger Corman. He has just such a great tree of filmmakers and creative people that have come out from all the work that he's done, everyone from Ron Howard to you.
Right.
What were some of the things, the experiences that you had with him?
Well, Roger Corman, I actually got hooked up doing one of my AMC Monster Fests, which may not have been the year with the, I think it was the year that one year we gave away a makeover for a house. It was basically to take your house and turn it into like, you know, Hollywood standards. So it was the person who did the makeup from Terminator, the people who did the sets came down to the winner's house in Texas and built an extra floor in it, had mechanical rats running around the yard. You know, 5 days of intense coverage, via helicopters and everything. But Corman, I think it's really, that was kind of one of the people who got me interested in this. I do remember like stunts from when I was a kid, the kinds of things that they did in the horror movies, and to me that seemed like a sense of fun, something that entertained me, that excited me, and that's kind of run through the work that I've done and that people like me do. So, and I was very proud to actually be paid by Roger Corman.
Well, one of the few.
One of the few. $2,000 from Roger Corman is like getting, you know, $10 million from someone else. So it was great to work with a guy like that and see that he also has kind of this childlike, if you want, enthusiasm. And I think that's a really great thing, because you want to have fun. You know, you're working more than 9 to 5, so you want to come up with ideas that entertain you, that connect with the media, and that are really fun to work on with your clients, and will help you build relationships that continue for your career. When you start somewhere and they go to another place, they continue to work with you. So that's kind of the whole philosophy.
And that's certainly a philosophy that you've espoused and certainly put into great effect and great success. Thanks for going inside communications with us.
Thanks so much.